morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulites. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens with a cat free, doing this thing, out here catting it up? And what closes with a man thinking about being free and doing his thing and being out here catting it up? If you guess This Is Us, NBC, Clooney, Season 2, Episode 12, you're correct. Thank you so much for clicking on the video and sticking around to see how we get from opening to closing. So we got a cat on the street in the, what happened before, we saw or heard where Randall's birth daddy, William, had said he goes back and forth to feed a cat. And I'm like, it ain't no cat. But then we see this cat on the street throughout the whole, segment. So this is William's birth daddy's cat. I'm thinking that he used to feed. Oh, look at that cute little dog. Okay, so then we see Daddy Jack, and he's building an entertainment center. We see the parents, Daddy Jack and Mama Rebecca, kissing. Then Teen Kate comes in. She says that she and her friends are going to the winter formal, so she wants to know if her mother can take her to the mall. Mama Becca is quite excited that her teenage daughter has asked her to go to the mall. Daddy Jack wants to go to the mall too. He got to get a battery for the smoke detector. He got to get a suit. Then teen Kevin is on the couch due to injury. His Daddy Jack asked him, are you going to the winter formal, the winter dance, winter formal? And Kevin says no, he's not going because Sophie doesn't care if she goes or not. So, and he can't exactly dance, so he's not going to the winter formal. Then we see Randall popping his head in, and he's like, Ma, I want to go to the mall. And Kevin says, God, he's weird. And he is a little eccentric little boy, isn't he? He's in his own world. He's got his own way of doing things and seeing things. And he's always been like that. He's been very strong-willed in his own person, all of his representation. Then we see 37-year-old Randall, and he is helping Tess or Annie, one of the baby girls, with a penguin display project. You are ready. This is gonna crash the competition, says Randall to the baby girl. Beth is on the phone in the background, and she's like, yeah, I understand. She gets off the phone and says, dang, I just lost a lot off of the avenue to Costco. Instead of a beautiful park, the people of Trenton are going to get a Costco. And Annie or Tess, one of the baby girls, says, I'd rather have a Costco. Randall, he gets up, he comforts his wife. I'm so sorry. I know how hard you work. And Beth is like, you sure you got time to drop the girls, go to Williams to get that box, and get to your interview? And Randall's like, yep. And Beth is like, wouldn't you rather prepare for your interview instead of going all the way over to Williams' old place to get some old box? And Randall's like, nope, no prep needed. They've been after me for a while, but I'm looking for something in a job that gets my juices going. And Beth is like, but you are going to the interview, right? And I'm like, are they hurting for money? I didn't get that impression. Anyway, we see 37-year-old Kate at her weight management support group. I don't know if it's Overeaters Anonymous or what, but her support group. And she is sharing. After the miscarriage, I fell off the wagon. It was hard. I needed comfort. Now I'm on track, because me and Toby are getting married, and he convinced me to go all out, including the dress, traditional, including the dress, which doesn't exist for me. There's no traditional dress for me. But enough about me. Let's hear from somebody else. And I think she's harassing the woman who she had. There's like a skinny woman who's in the group that she seems to have a lot of tension and anger toward. They had backed into each other, maybe even last episode. And that's when she had told the woman she was pregnant. Then we see 37-year-old Kevin. He's at the treatment center with his therapist. She says, you've done well, Kevin. You've made the most of your time here. And Kevin is like, well, thanks, Bab. I can call you Babs, right? And the therapist, Barbara, is like, no. There is a lot of time out there when you get in the world, and I'm concerned about you going back to Hollywood too quickly. You need structure. You need routine. And Kevin says, I'm going to make up for lost time with my mom. Then we see 37-year-old Kevin walking up the walk to his mom's place, and we see Mama Becca and Miguel. And then we see Kevin being greeted by Mama Becca and Miguel. And then we see the family in the kitchen, and Kevin is looking at the life of Mama Becca and Miguel, like looking at their things like, oh, it's 2 pairs of boots here, oh, it's this, oh, it's that, you know, checking out how they're living. And while Mama Becca, she's prattling on about, oh, I got organic bananas, and I got raw cashews, and I got so much kale, blah, 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 blah. And Kevin is like, well, I'm on a new diet now. Strictly Skittles and Cinnamon Toast Crunch. The therapist thinks that it's good for me to go sugar crazy right now. And Mama Becca is like, well, I mean, you know, we could go to the store together. And Kevin says, great, I need a strict schedule. So this is great. Mondays, I go to the grocery store with Mom. And then Miguel says something. I don't know what he said, because we don't care nothing about no Miguel. Then we got 37-year-old Kate. And this is after her support group meeting. And I can't remember the woman's name, but I do have it written down later. Maybe Madison says, you know, the young woman, the only one we've seen her connect with in the group other than Toby, who she engaged to, had a baby with, lost the baby with. I'm really sorry, says, I think, Maddie, about your baby. So let's go dress shopping. I know the perfect place. You just look and sip champagne. You don't have to try anything on. And the moment that you're uncomfortable, we'll leave. Let me help you through this hurdle. And then we see Teen Kate in a store. See, the theme is shopping. And she's with Mama Becca. She asked to go to the mall. Kate is looking for dresses. Mama Becca sees her looking at something. She's like, oh my gosh, that's perfect for your eyes, Kate. And Kate gets 3 dresses in 3 different sizes. And she says, you know, it's hard to know which size. And Becca's like, I do the same thing. But, you know, she has that worried look that Mama Becca often has, like, I do the same thing. But you don't really be believing her. And then we see Daddy Jack and the on crutches. We see Teen Kevin. And they see Miguel in the mall. And I think one of them says, hey, Miguel. And then Miguel is like, hey, you know, I'm trying to cheer myself up. Shelly's boyfriend, that's his ex-wife, proposed to her last night on a ski trip. The kids were there, too. I guess they all ski now. And then Daddy Jack is like, you'll always be their dad. And then Teen Kev is like, you always go into the pep talk. Sometimes things just suck. And Miguel is like, well, he's got a point. Sometime a guy needs some time to be down about crappy things. And Jack is like, okay, I mean, I can wallow. You want to go to the arcade or the food court? And Miguel and Teen Kev are like, food court. Then we see Teen Randall at the mall, and he's looking through the window of like a store at the redhead. Remember the redhead that was with him when his dad died? That's her. This is when we meeting her. And he took something out of his bag and had it in his hand. It was something electronic, but I don't really know. Then 37-year-old Randall, we see him climbing the steps, and he sees his daddy William in his mind. It's the building his father used to live in. It's like a vivid image, but of course Daddy William has already made his transition. He knocks on the door. An older black man opens the door. Randall is like, hey, I'm Randall. I came about the box. And the man is like, I know William's son when I see him. Come on in. And then he comes in, hands him the box, and like, get on out, basically. And Randall is like, well, thanks. Guess that's it. So say, were you the one who took care of his cat? And the man is like, yeah, it took off a few weeks ago, though. I guess it's all good. It figured Randall Williams not coming back, blah, 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 blah. And then we see the cat again. It's on the street. It's moving about. We see Randall in the car. He opens the box. He takes out a sweater. He takes out a tape recorder. He takes out some books. He takes out a composition book, a pad, you know, that booklet thing. And there's like poetry to a woman, my love, my lady. And there are sketches as well. So then we see 37-year-old Kev and Mama Becca at the grocery store. This is Monday shopping. Kevin's getting his schedule together. And they're laughing and reminiscing. And Kevin is like, you know, hey, I lost Dad's necklace. And Mama Becca is like, what? And Kevin is like, I tried to get it back, but I couldn't. And Mama Becca is nodding. And she's like, he'd understand. You've been through a lot lately. It's funny. You beat yourself up for losing your necklace. and I can't seem to take mine off. And then up walks Miguel talking about some apricots or something, you know. And then we see Daddy Jack, Miguel, Teen Kevin in the food court. And Miguel is like, you know, that's a catch-22 right there. And Daddy Jack is like, there's Randall. Randall! Finally, a breath of fresh air. Because I guess they've been being depressed together. And then Randall sits down. And then, you know, Daddy Jack is like, or not, like maybe it's not a breath of fresh air. What's wrong? And Randall, what's wrong, Randall? And Team Randall was like, And then Daddy Jack is like, look, to Kevin, you just have to find your new football. And then Teen Kev is like, you don't understand. There is nothing you really like to do and then have lost, you know. And Daddy Jack is like, you know, that's probably true. And then Miguel is like, that is not true. You never told him about Big Frank, 3 Franks, 3 something, but I think it's 3 somethings. Your dad was going to start his own construction company. And Teen Kev is like, well, why didn't you? And Miguel is like, why do you think? He stuck it out with our company so you and your sisters could have everything you wanted. And Daddy Jack is like, well, you know, it wasn't the right time to take a risk. You know, you got to own your own choices fully and don't look back. Then we see 37-year-old Kevin back in the grocery store with Miguel because Mama Becca has walked off. And Kevin is like, so why did you come with us today? I'm staying with you guys so I can connect with my mom, right? So why do you tag along with us? And Miguel was like, well, she's been a wreck since you got arrested. Then you tore into her at the session. So I am here to protect her against any bombs you may drop or any blame you may lay. And then Kevin is like, you don't have to protect her. I'm her son. And Miguel is like, I'm her husband. And Kevin is like, my father was her husband. And then they stare at each other. And then Kevin or Miguel, you know, walks away. And then we see Randall. He's knocking at a door, one of William's neighbors. And the woman, we think it's the woman that he wrote poetry about and sketched. And Randall is like, excuse me, you know, I'm William's son, Randall. Does downstairs number 4 or whatever. And the woman is like, oh, yes, I liked him so much. I'm so sorry to hear that he passed away. And Randall is like, well, did you like him or did you love him? And then she's like, wasn't he a fancy man? And Randall was like, huh? Oh, gay. No, he was bi. And then we see Randall talk to another woman who laughs at the idea of romantic involvement with William. And then we see Randall knock on a guy's door trying to see if the guy recognizes the woman in the sketch. And we see Randall leave a note on the bulletin board. I couldn't read what it said, but I probably said contact me or something if you know about my daddy's girlfriend. Then we're at the bridal boutique with 37-year-old Kate and Claire Madison, and they are the only ones there. So the woman has had the shop closed down. It's by appointment only, or, you know, set up the appointment. There's you know, champagne, and, you know, Madison is like, I'm gonna get some champagne. And then Alexis comes out. She's the woman whose boutique it is, we guess. As they get the champagne, we see Teen Kate in the dressing room. She's trying on a size 7. And then the next thing we see her coming out of the dressing room. She sees her mother, but her mother doesn't watch her. She's watching her mother browse at something, and then she disappears. Kate disappears. Then we see 37-year-old smiling, happy Randall doing a pop-up at Beth's office. He's like, hey, I was in the neighborhood and I had a little time to fill before my interview, so I wanted to take you out for cappuccino. And Beth is like, oh, sweet, but I'm swamped. And Randall is like, I found a love poem in William's stuff, and I think he was in love with a woman in his building before he met Jesse. He was in love with a woman in his building. I think they were lovers. And Beth is like, hey, I'm trying to do a job here, and I know you're down on jobs right now. And Randall is like, I'm not down on jobs. I'm just not into this job that I'm going to interview for. And Beth is like, you think I'm all in on my job? I'm not all into my job. Do you think that when I was in college that I dreamt of this job as an undergraduate? I know you are searching and I support you, but here recently it seems like you are in outer space. I need you back to work. I need you back to work, babe. It's not about money. It is, I I think it'll be good for you, for us. Can you do that? Can you come back down from outer space and be in the real world with me? And then we see 37-year-old Beth at the bridal boutique, and Madison Claire seems distracted, and then she leaves. And we see Kate confront her about what she did afterwards, you know. And Madison I guess she's bulimic, and she threw up after she ate the macaroons. And Madison does not want to talk about it, and she storms off and leaves the child, Kate, you know. And then we see 37-year-old Randall in the interview, and he's like, oh yeah, I'm interested, but he seems distracted. Then he gets a call. He's like, I should take this. It could be from my kid's school. And then it's the man who had Daddy Williams' box. He's like, hey, I saw your note in the hall. Did you talk to the super? Well, you know, so-and-so and so-and-so, blah, 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 blah. I saw Randall coming and going from there at all hours, but I'm not one to gossip. And Randall was like, thanks. And then we see 37-year-old Kevin, and he comes downstairs. He sees Mama Becca and Miguel, and they're all cuddled up. They're on the couch. They're watching TV. They're chatting. They're laughing. Becca sees Kevin. She's like, oh, hi, sweetheart. How are you? You want some tea? I'll go make you some tea. And then she gets up and goes to make tea. And then Miguel and Kevin, apologize to each other. I'm sorry, you know. And Kevin is like, were you in love with my mom when my dad was alive? And Miguel was like, no. That would have not been possible. That would have been impossible. See, there was them. They were one unit. There wasn't, one without the other. There was no Rebecca. There was just Jack and Rebecca. It would have never even occurred to me to be in love with your mom then. But I do love your mom now, and I'm not going anywhere. And then we see 37-year-old Kate, and she's online looking at dresses, and she gets a call, and she's like, wait, what? And then we see Kate at the door of the door of a place, and she's like, Madison, I'm coming in. And then she goes in, and we see Madison in the bathroom, and she's crying on the floor. Ooh! And then we see Mama Becca, and she's walking up to Teen Kate in the mall, and she's like, there you are. You can't just leave me. Kate, I've been looking all over for you. So how was the dress? And Kate is like, oh, it didn't fit. And Rebecca is like, well, we'll try on some others, and we're going to find one that you're going to love. And Kate is like, stop it. I'm a teenage girl. And then we see 37-year-old Randall, and he's knocking on the door, and a white woman opens the door, and he's like, hey, and or she says, hey, and Randall is like, hey, are you the super? And the woman is like, well, I'm pretty average, but and then Randall is like, well, this is gonna seem random, but I'm William Hill's son. And the woman is like, whenever someone had a problem, he'd come banging on my door to report it. And Randall was like, so he wasn't coming around here because you two were... And the woman is like, Superwoman is like, William and me? No. But I'll tell you, he was the heart of this building. And Randall was like, well, I found this poem he wrote, and I thought it was a sign. And then the Superwoman reads the poem, and she's like, let me show you something. And then we see Randall following her, and they go into William's old place, which is vacant again. And she's like, take a look around. And then we see a flashback to William with the cat, and William talking about how he has the best view in the building. And we see him writing in the very composition pad, probably, that we found in the box. And then we see, I'm like, is that Lady Day? It's like a mural. And the voiceover of William, Billie Holiday, is William's Lady Love. We hear voiceover William, but it's like, oh, his Lady Love is Lady Day, Billie Holiday. Then we see 37-year-old Kate with Madison at Madison's, and Madison is sharing a bit about her secret eating disorder, binging and purging. And Kate is like, right before my dad died, I pretty much ate only baby carrots, and I was convinced that being skinny would make me happy. And then we see a flashback to Teen Kate with that same size 7 dress. Remember, she took 3 in the dressing room, and it fits. She succeeded. She said, but I felt empty inside. I was more comfortable being fat, being mad at me all the time. You know, I was more comfortable being mad at me all the time for being fat, and I needed that critical voice. And then they show her trying on the size 5 dress, and it's too tight. And, you know, I guess she's like happy now that she can say, you too fat to get in this dress. You know how we get into like crazy little habits and ways of processing the world. So this is her crazy little way of processing the world. So she says, so no, Madison, I don't think you're crazy. And Madison is like, thank you for taking care of me. And Kate is like, I think I like the dress with the empire waist that we saw at the bridal boutique today. And Madison is like, oh, yay. Hey, should we do a podcast? And no, we shouldn't do a podcast. And then she's like, Madison is like, I can't believe I finally have a best friend. And then we see Beth driving Randall, and Beth is like, you know, this better be good. And then Randall is like, I came to this random building to get a box with a poem, and I found a poem that my father wrote and a mural of Lady Day, and it led me back to my lady who gets up daily and works to make the world a better place and works to make the world more beautiful, and my lady who has been the answer to every question, every search I've been on since I was 19. I want to buy this building, and I want to change these people's lives. I want to give them comfort. And then we see Randall at the mall, and he's approaching the redhead at her job. And she's like, hey, Randall, what's up? You look like you're going to pass out. And Randall's like, will you go out with me? And she's like, oh. And Randall is like, before you answer, shake this ball. This ball thing. It's like a yes, no, maybe type, you know, crystal ball type thing. And then she shakes it and she reads it and she smiles. Then we see Daddy Jack and Teen Kev trying on suits in the mall. And Kev is like, what about now, Dad? Is now a good time to start the business 3 Little Pigs or whatever? And then Daddy is like, I got 3 kids to think about who are about to go to college, so nah, it's not a good time, but you look good. That jacket fits. You put your hand in here. Okay, let me see. Are you fixed to tie? Yeah, when you're not on your crutches. And Kev is like watching his dad, you know, fuss with him and everything. And we see that Kevin has like reached a new level of maturity and a new level of respect and understanding of his father as an adult person and human being. And then Kev says, thank you, Dad. And then we see 37-year-old Kev and Mama Becca. And, you know, good morning. You know, I noticed last night, this is Kev talking to his mother, when you were watching TV with Miguel, you had your head on his shoulder, but as soon as you saw me, you pulled away. And Mama Becca is like, you know, I thought it might be hard for you to see us like that. You know, I had to let go of a lot of things after your dad died, and happiness was the first thing to go. It was like that for a long time. What I found with Miguel is quieter and older, but I am happy. He really makes me laugh. We see Daddy Jack on the couch, and in comes Mama Becca. God bless the child that's got her own is playing in the background. That's Lady Day, right? And then Rebecca is like, I need you to talk to Kate. Something is up. If anyone can get through, you can. If you can get through to her, you can get through to her. And Jack is like, you know, I hate wearing suits. He was buying that suit because his job was requiring him basically to step up and do some stuff. And so Jack is like, you know, wifey, I hate wearing suits. And I'm thinking now might be a great time to start the biz again. And Becca is like, now? We have 3 kids about to go off to college. You think now is a good time to start a business? And Jack is like, probably not. And Becca is like, well, I guess that'll make it exciting. And then she kisses him. And she says, babe, did we forget something at the mall? And Jack is like, I don't think so. And then we get a shot of the smoke detector. And y'all know that he died in a fire. So I guess this is like, you know, setting up his death, Jack's death by fire. But that's what I got. Think about subscribing if you like what I do here on this channel. Mostly television reviews, but some movie reviews, book reviews, event reviews, some story times. Like, comment, share. Be you, be fabulous, be fabulous. You today is the best day ever, and you are the greatest. Peace.